Shalom, good morning for those that will be viewing later or whatnot. Just give me a second real quick. Let me see. Shalom, good morning for those that will be viewing later or whatnot. Just give me a second real quick. All right, so seems my connection is fine. I don't know why when I get on other platforms though, but my connection be kind of choppy, so I'm checking real quick to make sure this isn't too choppy and everybody can hear me perfect. All right, so as I got on my title, but first let me do something real quick. Let me do something really quick. So as I got on my title, we're going to be going into the rest of, well, not the rest of, but sorry, let hear myself talk on this phone. But where we left off 2 days ago, dealing with verbs. Just give me a. Okay, I don't know why that's not coming up. Okay, let's see if this is going to work. All right, so got that sent out. Now, let me see one more time if my connection is fine because it's going up and down. Hopefully, I'm not lagging or anything like that. All right, so I sound fine. Okay, so we're going to pick it up where we left off a few days ago. And then I got a very interesting week coming up for everybody. So hopefully you guys will be watching after this. I'm gonna be setting up a few lives, and it's gonna be covering some things, but I'll let you guys know about that in a minute. Okay, so let's get this up on the screen here. I'm probably breaking up right now, but the show must roll on. Can't keep trying to see if this is going to be working. And I know my good buddy David is in here. Hello, David. So let me get this up here. Let me see. So let's get this here on the screen. So as I was reading from the book of Proverbs, and as I said before, the book of instruction and reproof. And let me just get my settings right real quick. All right. I don't want my face in there. It kind of cuts off part of the page, and I don't know. You guys, excuse me, my cat in the background, making a bunch of noise. So you gotta excuse me as well because I'm drinking some coffee. kind of a long night last night, but so we're going to continue. We're going to pick it up from 11. We're going to cover from 11 to 22. 21. And then after that, I'm going to do chapters 22 to 31, I believe. That's going to probably be on, well, you guys will see that in my lineup when I post the next few lives for the next week. But we're going to pick up here. So it says here, a false balance is an abomination to the Most High, or to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom. So again, this is why this is called the Book of Instruction and Reproof, because again, as I state many times, I see this verse 1 going on a lot. False balances into the Most High is an abomination. Just like lying is an abomination to him. But anyway, the integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. Riches profit not in the day of wrath. We understand the day of wrath is when he comes back. So your riches, your money, your finer things of this world is not going to save you. And we get that also in the book Enoch, which is going to be one of the upcoming studies. I'm going to finish out the apocalypse of weeks and the woes for the sinners. Right. So it says, but righteousness delivereth from death. The righteousness of the perfect shall direct his ways, but the wicked shall fall by his own wickedness. And there's one guy that I don't think reads this part, and I'm not going to name any names, but it's just, well, everybody know who he is anyway. Perry the preacher, right? But that's a different story. It says the righteousness of the upright shall deliver them, but transgressors, and we know what the word for, let's bring this up, right? Let's bring this up, these words, right? Let's bring these words up. So we're in Proverbs 11, right? Again, I ask people what sin is. They define it, but then go and speak against the very thing that they defined what sin is, right? But that's another story. So we're going to get into this word transgressor. It's the, Hebrew word. It's not the Greek word. There is a Greek word and there is a Hebrew word, but it still means the same thing, right? So where are we at? We're on verse 6. All right, we're on verse 6. Eight, 9, 8. Right. You're gonna hear this in the background a little bit. Hopefully you guys don't hear my cat in the background yelling her face off. But it says here, treacherously, transgressor, transgress, deceitfully, treacherous dealer, treacherous, unfaithful man, treacherous man, offend unfaithfully, to act treacherously, deceitfully, deal treacherously, to act or deal treacherously, faithlessly, deceitfully, and offend. And then you go down here for everybody that might want to use the Blue Letter Bible and go into studying the words being used so you can further your learning on what this is, what the meaning of the words are in the context of the scriptures. You go down here to the Brown Driver Briggs lexicon, and it'll tell you right here in bold letters, it'll say to act or deal treacherously, and it'll show you where this is being used, right? So it's being used in Jeremiah 3:20, right? Surely as a wife treacherously depart from her husband, so have ye dealt treacherously with me, O house of Israel, saith the Lord. We understand that children of Israel were unfaithful to God or the Most High. It is also used in Malachi 15, 5 times. It's used in Malachi 2:10, Isaiah 48, Jeremiah 5:11, Isaiah 33:1, Exodus 21:8, right? And then it says down here, oops, I'm trying to get off these words so you guys can see the definitions. And then it says here, my brethren have dealt deceitfully as a brook. It's read like that in Job 6:15. And then you got B right here, treacherous in wickedness, Psalms 59:6, so on and so forth. So it tells you where this is being used and how it's being used down there. So we're focusing on proverb here. So it says here, but the transgressors shall be taken in their own naughtiness. When a wicked man dieth, his expectation shall perish, but the hope of unjust man perisheth. Excuse me. The righteous is delivered out of trouble, as we see many times in the scriptures, how he says, those that fear him will be delivered and stuff like that. Right. And then the whole thing about how it's, excuse me, the whole thing how, what is that? Well, put it this way. This is the Father speaking, right? In the Old Testament, this is the Father speaking, well before his son came on the earth. So this is what his father was telling the children of Israel, right? And I see many people tossing out the Father's words like the Father's words no longer exist, when the Son came and spoke the very same words that his Father spoke. And that's in John chapter 5. I probably might use that as a closing, but we'll continue here. The righteous is delivered out of trouble, and the wicked cometh in his own stead. And hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, right? Everybody knows what a hypocrite is. That's when you tell somebody to don't do something and you go and do it yourself, right? But through knowledge shall the just be delivered. When it goeth well with the righteous, the city rejoiceth. And when the wicked perish, there is shouting. By the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked, right? Let me turn this down here. Let me turn this down. Shalom, bro, Shem. See you in the chat. And one thing I want to let you guys know, for anybody that's new here or anybody that might be sitting and listening in, I have two screens open, so I'm using my phone to check my chat. So from time to time, I will look over at my phone and read the chat. But as far as this screen here, I can't see the chat because this screen that I'm on right now reading is covering up the chat. So if I don't acknowledge you right away, when I look over at my phone, then but just let you guys know that, so you don't think that I'm ignoring the chat. So says, by the blessing of the upright, a city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. He that is void of wisdom despiseth his neighbor, but a man of understanding holdeth his peace. A talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit concealeth the matter. Where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. He that is surety for a stranger shall smart. Again, this stuff is kind of hard to read. Sometimes it takes me a while to understand what's written down because it's just not worded right sometimes. But for a stranger shall smart for it, and he that hateth surety is sure. A gracious woman retaineth honor, and strong man retaineth riches. The merciful man doeth good to his own soul, but he that is cruel troubleth his own flesh. The wicked worketh a deceitful work, but to him that soweth righteousness shall be a sure reward. As righteousness tendeth to life, so he that pursueth evil pursueth his own death. Now we understand when the Most High talks about righteousness and wickedness. And I made this analogy many times when Moses was telling the children of Israel that that was set before them life and death. Therefore, choose life that you may live. So what was he referring to when he was saying that? You would have to go into that. And I might go into that, but sometimes I don't want to touch on certain subjects because, again, once you read certain things in the Bible that people don't agree with, which is in the Bible, by the way, which I don't understand why people would agree with some things the Bible say and other things they don't agree with. It's kind of double-minded, right? Double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. But anyway, as righteousness tendeth to life, so he that pursueth evil to his own death. They that are of a froward heart are abomination unto the Most High, or unto the Lord, but such as are upright in their way are his delight. Though hand joined in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman which is without discretion. Now, every time when I see him referring to, let me blow this up real quick so you guys see that a little bit better. Every time when he refers to swine, it's always in a bad way. And I've always wondered that. Like in Isaiah 66, when he says, let me bring that up real quick. I'm not going to go all into that chapter, but I'm just going to give you guys, I'm going to show you guys what I mean when I say every time when he refers to swine, it's always not in such a good way. So it says right here, he that killeth an ox as if he slew a man, he that sacrificed a lamb as if he cut off a dog's neck, he that offer an oblation as if he offered swine's blood, right? So, and in that chapter, you read a little bit more, people will say, oh, it's talking about sacrificing things to idols, when it's clearly saying you're eating something, which I don't believe people actually read in context. People still try to be scholarly and insert their own words into where words don't belong, but that's another story. The desire of the righteous is only good, but the expectation of the wicked is wrath. There is that scattereth and yet increaseth, but and there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but it tendeth to poverty. A liberal soul excuse me, a liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. He that withholdeth corn, the people shall curse him, but blessing shall be upon the head of him that selleth it. He that he that diligently seeketh good procureth favor, but he that seeketh mischief, it shall come unto him. So remember where it says, where I believe it was Christ that was saying, the things that you do to others will come right back on you. And then that's where people take that and say that whole thing about karma, when it's really, what is the word I'm looking for? It's really the reaping what you sow, basically. You give out something and you're going to get it tenfold or sevenfold or whatever. He that trusteth in his riches, and we read this yesterday in Enoch, where it was talking about the rich people. Woe unto you, ye rich, for you have trusted in your riches, right? He that trusteth in his riches shall fall, but the righteous shall flourish as a branch. He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall be servant to the wise of heart. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, right? And this also goes into the parable of the good tree bearing good fruit and the evil tree bearing evil fruit, right? That parable that Christ spoke about, right? All this stuff comes from the Old Testament that he was talking about. But then people try and separate the two, like the Father's words are no longer existent and it's null and void. So the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise, right? Behold, the righteous shall be recompensed in the earth, much more the wicked and the sinner. So when we read the book of Enoch, for example, it gives a long list of, what the sinners are going to be facing. And of course, it ties in with scripture, and it gives you a little bit more in-depth detail. Now, people will say the book of Enoch, ain't canon or anything like that, but they would have to explain to me, why did Enoch have prophecies about Noah and the flood and Moses and the Exodus and the end times and prophecies about Christ, which I find very fascinating because people say that stuff ain't in there. But let's move on to the next chapter. Here we go. This is the whole point here. As I said, the book of Proverbs is the book of instruction and reproof. And we see this here in this. We see it all over Proverbs. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof, and again, reproof is nothing but rebuke, right? Those that hate being rebuked, right? Let's get that word so you guys could see that. Let's get into that word. Let's get that word. But let me check my connection because my stuff is going up and down. Sorry, guys. All right, so I sound fine now. All right, so here's that word reproof. 8433, Hebrew word 8433. Right? And it's tokia. It's the same word. Reproof, arguments, reprove, rebuke, correction, reproof, punishment, chastisement. Right? We understand that The Most High rebukes people as well. Argument, reproof, argument, impeachment, reproof, chiding, correction, rebuke, right? That's what is being used for when we go down here and we read and book argument or reproof, all in Proverbs, right? And in Psalms, there's a few other places. Reproof, chiding, again, Proverbs, right? So that's why I say that this is the book of instruction and reproof, right? A good man obtaineth favor of the Lord, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness to his bones. Though the thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit. And we could use, for example, the things that we're told about this world. And I'm going to keep bringing this up. The things that we're told about this world, especially how it was created, right? This is a wicked government that takes this book dealing with the creation and they flip it. It's all reversed. It's all contrary to what the books say. And I probably might be doing a study on that, going into the Bible and looking at all the scriptures pertaining to how God created the earth and the descriptions he gives us on his creation, and not what the counsels of the wicked give us, right? So the words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. The wicked are overthrown and are not, but the house of the righteous shall stand. A man shall be condemned according to his wisdom. So this is why I tell people, be careful. You know, everything has to be what the books say. And then we get this also in lean not to your own understanding, acknowledge him in all thy ways, and he will direct your steps, right? And we understand the job of the Holy Spirit is to guide people into all truth. All truth, that means, truth, period, right? That's the job of the Spirit, right? We all understand that. So a man shall be condemned according to his wisdom, but he that is of a perverse heart shall be despised. And let's get this word. I don't know why I shut this down. Let's get this word again for, what is it? Perverse, right? And so you guys could, because I know when I was reading this, it was kind of hard to understand what he was talking about when he was using some of these words that I didn't know about. So I used the lexicon and go into the words so I could get a better understanding. So I've been doing this for about a few years. So that's why I go into these words so I could show. Perverse, Hebrew 57:53. And it is avah, right? So you guys can hear it.
Strong's H 57:53. Avah.
Right.
Avah.
So there's avah, iniquity, perversity, perverted, amiss, turn, crooked, bow down, troubled, wickedly wrong. So that's what it means. This is something, if you guys know about Perry the Preacher, this is what he did. This is what he does. He talks with perversity, to bend, twist, distort, to be bent, be bowed down, to be twisted, be perverted. And you guys get that. You get the whole understanding. Commit iniquity, to do wrong, right? And iniquity is basically wickedness, and wickedness is lawlessness, right? That's what the Bible says. So it's being used in Proverbs, Samuel, Psalms. This is to bend or twist. And we're in Proverbs 12. So this is, again, where I'm reading from. And a man shall be commended according to his wisdom, but he that is of perverse heart shall be despised, right? So it says here, he that despiseth and hateth a servant is better than he that honoreth himself and lacketh bread. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. He that tilleth his land shall be satisfied with bread, but he that followeth vain persons is void of understanding. The wicked desireth to net the net of evil men, but the root of the righteous yieldeth fruit. The wicked is snared by the transgression of his lips, right? The things that come out your mouth, we understand that Christ talked about that as well. It's not what goes into your mouth, but what comes out that defiles a man, right? So that's another thing, I'm just, bringing out the things that, I see in the scripture and equating it to what also the Messiah talked about. It's the same thing. Did I finish that? But the just shall come out of trouble. A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, but the recompense of a man's hand shall be rendered unto him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame. He that speaketh truth, right? Hear that word, truth, showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit, right? There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. Lying lips, and we get this in Proverbs 6. Lying lips is an abomination. Like when he said, 6 things doeth the Lord hate. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him. That's in Proverbs 6. Lying lips are abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. Excuse me. The hand of the diligent shall bear a rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Heaviness in the heart of men maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. Seduce, right? Just like we're told in the last days, right, evil men and seducers, right, will come. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. And the way of the righteous is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no death. So to live righteously in the sight of the Most High is life. And this is the same thing that Moses spoke about when he said, I've set before you life and death, good and evil, life and death. Therefore choose life, right? Enoch also talked about living a righteous life. And just to bring something up, right? because people think that Enoch isn't in the Bible. Enoch is, by the way, mentioned 3 times in the Bible. You got it once in Genesis chapter 5. Actually, Genesis 4 mentions another Enoch from the line of Cain. Then in Genesis 5, you got the Enoch that comes from Jared. Then you got Jude that mentions Enoch. And I believe it is in Hebrews where Enoch is mentioned again, but let me give that a quick check. Yeah, it is in Hebrews. Hebrews 11. I knew it was Hebrews, but I just forgot what chapter. So it says here in Hebrews 11:5, by faith Enoch was translated that he should not see what he had this testimony that he pleased God. And you get that in Genesis 5. Enoch was and was not, for God it took him. And then you read the book of Enoch and all that stuff, and it tells you exactly why Enoch was taken and what the Most High showed Enoch, right? Enoch was probably one of the first people to see all that stuff up there because he's 7th from Adam. He's the 7th generation from Adam. So he would have been in a time where the Torah was being written. And if Enoch didn't exist, or if, all that stuff, people say that Enoch didn't have prophecy. But anyway, I'm going to try and blow through this real quick. And I'm going to set up these lives. So a wise son heareth his father's instruction, but a scorner heareth not rebuke. So a scorner, people that scorn others, they don't want to hear reproof or rebuke, right? A man shall eat good by the fruit of his mouth, but the soul of the transgressor shall eat violence. He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction. The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. So this is basically saying, this is also giving an analogy to spiritual things. Like, you're not supposed to, like it says, store not up your riches on earth, where moth and rust doeth corrupt, but store up your riches in heaven, right? You will want to have your soul in place more than what you want on this earth, because this earth and everything in it, even the heavens above, is going to pass away, and all this stuff ain't going to be here no more when the new heaven and new earth and the new Jerusalem comes down. Excuse me, I'm drinking some coffee. So a righteous man hateth lying, and I really do, because I call out liars, right? And I don't just call out liars. I try and correct them so that they, could correct them. I give them correction so that they could correct what they're saying, because again, all the things that we speak, goes basically is going to be shown to us at death. When we get judged, the Most High is going to play back or give an account. He's going to give an account of everything that we did, but our souls are going to testify against us, right? So we want to make sure that we have our souls in line, right? And always walking after the spirit and not after the flesh, right? A righteous man hateth lying, but the wicked man is loathsome and cometh to shame. Righteousness keepeth him that is upright in the way, but wickedness overthroweth the sinner. There is that maketh himself rich, yet hath nothing. There is that maketh himself poor, yet have great riches. Again, all about not storing up your riches on heaven, in earth, but in heaven, right? And then you look at all these rich people around the world, and they're miserable. They got all that stuff in the world that they desired with all their heart. Nice car, big, nice mansion, all that stuff. But deep down inside, they have nothing. It's kind of like they gave a piece of themselves to the world. And this is another scripture I want to bring out. Just to show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay. This is in the New Testament. Mark 8. And we see here, this is why I make these analogies. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world, yet lose his own soul? And that's why I said what I said about the rich people. They got all that money and all the things that they desired, but they given a piece of themselves up for it. Right. The ransom of a man's life are his riches, but the poor heareth not rebuke. The light of the righteous rejoiceth, but the lamp of the wicked shall be put out. This is also, I believe, referring to those 10 virgins. 5 were foolish and 5 were wise, right? Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well advised is wisdom. Excuse me. Wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. Whoso despiseth the word shall be destroyed, but he that feareth the commandment, again, I said that in my last teaching, this word commandment is all throughout Proverbs as well. He that feareth the commandment shall be rewarded, right? You fear breaking what the Most High said don't break, right? The law of the wise is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. And that's why I tell people that it's important to know exactly what's in there, right? Because you go about preaching, oh, you don't have to keep it, you don't have to obey it, then you're preaching basically snares unto death, snares of death. And I'm not telling people, I'm not pushing it on anybody, but I'm just bringing this out. It's up to you to make that decision if you want to, obey what's written in the book. And I'm not talking about slaughtering animals to pay for your sins. We all know who paid for it all with his blood. So again, good understanding giveth favor, but the way of transgressors is hard. Every prudent man dealeth with knowledge, but a fool layeth open his folly. A wicked messenger falleth into mischief, but a faithful ambassador is health. Poverty and shame shall be to them that refuseth instruction, but he that regardeth reproof shall be honored. So if you regard reproof, you'll be honored, right? The desire accomplished is the desire accomplished is sweet to the soul, but it is abomination to fools to depart from evil. So they think that if you depart from evil, it's an abomination to them. They think departing from evil is an abomination. That means they love evil, right? He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. Evil pursueth sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. Much food is in the tillage of the poor, but there is that destroyeth for want of judgment. He that spareth his rod hateth his son. And this also talks about when people don't discipline their children, right? And it talks about how they, you spare the rod, you spoil the child, right? Sparing the rod, you spoil the child, right? You don't discipline them, you don't set structure in their lives, and then they think they could run all over you, run amok, and do whatever they want, be disrespectful, which is, by the way, breaking. I believe that's the sixth commandment: honor thy mother and father. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes. Or some of this stuff, it just won't sound right, but you understand. You reading it right there. The righteous eateth to the satisfying of his soul, but the belly of the wicked shall want. Right. So everything, like he said, this should be, I call this spiritual food, right? Not physical food. Spiritual food for the soul, right? Proverbs. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. He that walketh in his uprightness feareth the Lord. Again, you're supposed to fear the Father, right? But he that is perverse in his ways despiseth him. And we understand what perverse is. He that is twisted in his ways, or wrong, or the words I just showed for perverse. In the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride, but the lips of the wise shall preserve them. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean, but much increase is by the strength of the ox. A faithful witness will not lie, but a false witness will utter lies. A scorner seeketh wisdom and findeth it not, but knowledge is easy unto him that understands, right? Understanding. When you understand something, you increase in knowledge. To be ignorant is knowledge. And again, ignorant is just not knowing. Go from the presence of a foolish man when thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge. The wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. So we understand that over and over. He says the folly of fools is deceit, working deceitful, lying, or being deceptive. Fools make a mock at sin, and this is kind of what Perry does, and I'm gonna keep mentioning him because if you guys know Perry the preacher, he mocks sin. Oh, I can't sin. Even if I beat my wife, it's not a sin for me kind of ordeal. Let me see what's going on in the chat for a minute. Let me just pause and see what's going on in the chat. Thank you for showing me the comparisons, bro, i.e. pro. Okay. I see you in the chat, bro, Shim. All right. The heart knoweth his own bitterness. And this is also, I think this is coming up in a few verses, but it says the heart is desperately wicked. The heart is desperately wicked. Who can know it, right? I'm just paraphrasing because I know I didn't probably do a good job at quoting that, but it talks about the heart is deceitful above all things, and who can know it, right? The heart knoweth his own bitterness, and a stranger doeth not intermeddle with his joy. The house of the wicked shall be overthrown, but the tabernacle of the upright shall flourish. There's a way. Now, this one I see all the time. There is a way which seemeth right unto man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Right? I think that, whatever the Most High speak, we should be applying to life, except for sacrifices, right? We should be carrying out, let me see how I can put this. We should be living according to how the Most High wants us to live, and not just living any kind of way we want to, if that makes sense. Excuse me. Even in laughter, the heart is sorrowful, and the end of that mirth is heaviness. The backslider in heart shall be filled with his own ways, and a good man shall be satisfied from himself. And that's all about when you pick up your cross and you follow the Messiah. That word for cross in Greek is self-denial, and people think that it's a literal stake or a post. That's why he said, again, for people to understand that verse. Let me bring this up. Luke 9, right? This is what I mean when I say that, because the self-denial, the denial of oneself, your own desires, right? And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, first, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me, right? So you're supposed to, let's put this word in real quick for cross so you guys can see what I'm talking about, right? So you guys can see what I'm talking about when I say that the cross is your self-denial, denying yourself daily, denying your desires daily, right? People will just use it as a literal stake or post, right? So let's go here. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. The Greek word for cross is Greek 47:16, 47:16, 47:16, 47:16, so on and so forth. 47:16, again 47:16. So when he mentions the cross, let's go to 47:16 and look at what he's talking about, right? And it's going to tell us self-denial, to deny oneself, storos. So you guys can hear it. Shalom, ya son. Welcome, bro. Is this up or is it going to play? Oh, it's not going to play. But anyway, so when he said, pick up your cross and follow me, which one would you guys think that he was talking about? Was he talking about a well-known instrument of most cruel and ignominious punishment borrowed by the Greeks and the Romans? Or was he talking about the crucifixion which Christ underwent? When you go down here, it says this. It says a pole or cross as an instrument of capital punishment, figuratively, exposure to death, i.e., you guys see this right here, self-denial. That's why he said that in that chapter there, or in that verse. He who picketh up not his cross, if any man shall follow after me, he must first deny himself, pick up his cross, and follow me, right? So let's go down here. And where is this at? Where was that at? Oh, it's in Matthew. I believe it's Matthew. It's also in Mark and Luke as well. The same thing he said to them. So the crucifixion which Christ underwent, and let me go down. Let's see here. Should be down here. Yes, right here, I believe. If this will come up. I don't know why it's not coming up. Here it is. Matthew 10:38. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. Matthew 16. I believe this was the other one. Yeah, actually, yeah, it's right here. And Jesus said, and then said Jesus unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Right. And this was being used in the same sense that the crucifixion which Christ underwent. So that's where that's put at, down here. So just showing you guys that, because when I make claims, I want to show you that what I'm talking about, so that people won't say I'm talking about something that's not in the Bible, or that the scholars didn't translate, because I see that happening a lot. So where am I at? All right, I'm right here, 15. The simple believeth every word. Simple people believe every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. A wise man feareth, wise men fear, and depart from evil, but the fool rageth and is confident. He that is soon angry dealeth foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hated. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. The evil bow before the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. The poor is hated even of his own neighbor, but the rich have many friends. And that's kind of like what you see when, like, again, when people got a lot of money, you'll notice that you got a lot of friends. But the minute you go broke, the minute you ain't got nothing, zero, everybody is just like, just walk right by you. Don't give you no kind of acknowledgement or anything. So we see all this stuff, basically, most of this stuff happening. If you look at everyday life, just look at all the people that like strike big in the lottery, and they never had friends before when they was poor. And as soon as they get money, everybody calling their phone, hey, how you doing? Let's go out. Hey, can I borrow this? Or can, all that stuff. So he that despiseth his neighbor sinneth, but he that hath mercy on the poor, happy is he. Do they not err that devise evil? But mercy and truth shall be to them that devise good. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. Probably slaughtered that word, sorry. The crown of the wise is their riches, but the foolishness is folly. The foolishness of fools is folly. Let's get this word for folly here. Proverbs 14. What does folly mean? For y'all that don't know what folly is, just doing this so that people could understand what this is saying. So folly, 5039. 5039. 5039. What is this at? We want to get into Proverbs real quick. Going to Proverbs. And we're in Proverbs 14. This is where we're reading. Folly of fools is deceit. So again, I want to show you something. This is Hebrew word 200, right? When you go up here, there's another word for folly, but it's basically more than likely the same thing, H3690. So this is why I go to the words because sometimes you'll see the same word being used and it's another number here. So let's go to the word for folly that's being used where we're reading from. Verse 18. And in Proverbs, it's all H200, Hebrew word 200 in Proverbs. As you see, let me blow this up a little bit more so y'all see that. Hebrew word 200, this is all used in Proverbs, right? Hebrew word 200 for folly. So all throughout Proverbs, you see this word, folly. And what is folly? Ivulet, or I can't pronounce that. I'm going to listen to it.
Strong's H200. Iveleth.
All right, I was close.
Iveleth.
I was kind of close. So folly, foolishness, foolishly. Folly is foolishness. The same as Hebrew 191, silliness. And it tells you it's used in Proverbs, most of the time used in Proverbs. It's one time used in Psalms, right? Psalm 38:6. I am troubled. I am bowed down greatly. I go mourning all day long. But this doesn't even have the word folly in it, right? So I don't see why they put that there. But anyway, just to show you, silliness, foolishness. That's why it says folly. The foolishness of fools is folly. Silliness. A true witness delivereth souls, but a deceitful witness speaketh lies. And then it mentions in the fear of the Lord is strong confidence. It says this all the time. Like as you read in the very first chapter, it says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction, right? The fools despise it. And the fear of the Lord is strong confidence, and his children shall have place of refuge. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. In the multitude of people is the king's honor, but in the want of people is the destruction of the prince. He that is slow to wrath is of great understanding, meaning you're not going to get angry and be yelling and screaming and shouting and all that stuff. He that is slow to wrath. Let's get that word for wrath real quick, used in the Hebrew, right? I'm gonna go Proverbs 14, so I could go to the very one that I'm reading instead of putting the word in. Proverb 14. So this is going to be like almost a 2.5 hour live because I like to get into the words so people could see what it's being used for, and it gives you a better understanding of what you're reading, right? So I do this a lot. That's why it takes me a little bit more time, because it's enough for somebody to just read the chapter and not give a person the understanding, right? So where we're at, 29, 28. No, 29, okay. Verse 29. Verse 29. So this word for wrath is Hebrew 639, right? 639. It is af.
Strong's H639. Af.
Anger, right? We understand it's not nostril, nose, or face, right? We understand that this is talking about anger, okay? Again, that's why I was talking about people that get angry fast, right? He that is slow to anger, let's just put that word in there so it could be better understood. He that is slow to anger is of great understanding, right? He that is slow to wrath. But he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly. A sound heart is the life of the flesh, but envy the rottenness of the bones. He that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker, And this is talking about the Creator, the Most High here. But he that honoreth him that hath mercy, but he that honoreth him hath mercy on the poor. The wicked is driven away in his wickedness, but the righteous hath hope in his death. Wisdom resteth in the heart of him that hath understanding, but that which is in the midst of fools is made known. Righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Again, the word for sin in Hebrew, oops, where am I at? Where am I at? Here it is. Hebrew 24:03 for sin. Let's listen to this word. It's kind of hard to pronounce it.
Cheta'ah, cheta'ah, chetath, chetath.
Sin, sinful, condition of sin, guilt of sin, punishment for sin, sin offering. We understand that. That was talked about when they were doing that. Purification from sins of ceremonial uncleanness. That's talking about ceremonies. An offense, sometimes habitual sinfulness, and its penalty, occasion, sacrifice, or expectation. Also, concretely, an offender. So, a person that offends, an offender, like, when they say, let's see here. This is, talk about this offering for sin and sin. So you go down and you go into Proverbs and it tells you sin is just only used for sin in Proverbs. Let me see. Proverbs, Psalms, Proverbs. It's just only talking about sin. Right. That's why I ask people all the time when they bring sin up, I ask them, what is sin? And they say it's transgression of the law. But in the same breath say, oh, the law's done away with. And transgression means to be without, right? Let's get we'll go into some of that other stuff later on or something. Anyway, righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. The king's favor is toward a wise servant, but his wrath is against him that causeth shame. Right. So let me get this 15. We got 6 more to go. So here, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. The eyes of the Lord are in every place. Remember, he sees everything. He knows what's in our minds and what's in our hearts. He knows our thoughts. He knows our ways. Right? So I tell people like again, I'm gonna bring him up again. Perry, right? He believes that whatever he does, and it says, he that is wise in his own eyes is prudent of heart, right? Prudent. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the good, the evil, and the good. So he sees everything, right? He knows what's going on. And that's why he's going to judge, everybody by their works. The words you speak, the thoughts you think, and what's in your heart. Because for something to come out your mouth to defile you, first it enters your mind, then it goes into your heart, and out of the heart cometh all those things, right? So a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. A fool despiseth his father's instruction, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent. In the house of the righteous is much treasure, but in the revenues of the wicked is trouble. The lips of the wise disperseth knowledge, or disperse knowledge, but the heart of the fool doeth not so. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination unto the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. The way of the wicked is an abomination unto the Lord, but he that loveth him followeth after righteousness. Right? Correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die. Hell and destruction are before the Lord, how much more than the hearts of the children of men? A scorner loveth not one that reproveth him, because of course, if somebody rebukes somebody, they're not going to love them. Neither will he go unto the wise. A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. The heart of him that hath understanding seeketh knowledge, but the mouth of fools feedeth on foolishness. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but he that is of a merry heart hath a continual feast. Better is little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a stalled ox and hateth therewith. A wrathful man stirreth up strife, but he that is slow to anger appeaseth strife. So what does it mean to appease? I know what this is, but I'm just, showing you guys. This is Proverbs 15. Let me go back. So you guys could get a better understanding of that. Let me refresh this here. So we're on verse 18. To appease. A wrathful man stirreth up strife, but he that is slow to anger appeaseth. Hebrew word 82:52. To appease strife. Shakat, right? To be quiet, to be undisturbed, to be tranquil, be at peace, rest, lie still, be undisturbed. That's what it means. Pacify. Display of quietness. To be quiet, be inactive. So when you don't respond to this kind of thing, a wrathful man stirreth strife, when you don't respond to that, you appease it. You just, let me get back to that. You just you remain quiet, be inactive. You don't participate in it, right? So let's go and continue on. The way of the slothful man is as an hedge of thorns, but the way of the righteous is made plain. A wise son maketh, excuse me, I'm hearing myself talk again. Hold on. Let me turn that down a little bit more. All right, a wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish man despiseth his mother. Folly is joy to him that is destitute of wisdom, but a man of understanding walketh uprightly. Without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors they are established. A man hath joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season, how good is it? And we always understand that. We hear that also, be ready to give an answer in season or out of season, right? So just making a clear distinction with that, how Christ gave us that example, right? The way of life is above to the wise, that he may depart from hell beneath. The Lord will destroy the house of the proud, but he will establish the border of the widow. The thoughts of the wicked are an abomination unto the Lord, but the words of the pure are pleasant words. He that is greedy of gain troubleth his own house, but he that hateth gifts shall live. The heart of the righteous studieth to answer. The heart of the righteous studieth to answer. That means you're going to study, you're going to give the correct answer, right? But the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things. The Lord is far from the wicked, but he heareth the prayer of the righteous. The light of the eyes rejoiceth in heart, and a good report maketh the bones fat. The ear that hear the reproof of life abideth among the wise. He that refuse instruction despiseth his own soul. That's why I tell people a lot, it's not my soul that I have to get in line when I'm trying to, bring out something or, bring out facts or try and tell somebody something or, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding. The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility, which not a lot of people got. Let's see what the word for humility is. For those that probably don't know what that word is, humility, because I don't see a lot of people practicing that. Oops, I don't know why I went back. I'm still in Proverbs 15, very last verse. So humility is Hebrews 60:38. Humility, anava, right? Gentleness, humility, meekness, right? We understand that Christ spoke about this. The meek shall inherit the earth, right? Anava.
Strong's H 6038. Anava. Anava.
Right.
Second entry. Anva. Anva.
So just bringing some clarity here so people can understand those words and how what is he meaning by humility, because some people say they practice it but it doesn't really show. Let's see here, 16. I probably might just cut it short at 20, chapter 20, and then pick it up 21 to 31, since it's only, let me see, I believe it is 31 chapters in here. Yep, 31. So I'm going to try and keep this on a 10 chapter and then do the other 10 in the part 3, which I probably might book for Wednesday. Some other stuff that I want to go into pretty soon. So it'll be fresh in people's mind. I'm going to finish off in the book of Enoch, the woes for the sinners, and what is it going to be looking like in the last days, which we're in, and we see it happening. But chapter 16, when we get to close to the end of this book, it's really going to open up some eyes. But I probably might give a little spoiler at the end. The preparation of the heart in man and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord, right? Comes from the Most High. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weigheth the spirits. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Though hand join in hand, we read this in a few chapters before, he shall not be unpunished. We heard this in a few chapters. So when I say that in the Bible over and over, he repeats himself over and over because it's like, he's going to say the same thing. It's not going to change. Like it says in the Bible, I'm the Lord, I change not, right? He don't change for nobody, and you can't change him even if you tried. But by mercy and truth, iniquity is purged, wickedness is purged, and by the fear of the Lord, men depart from evil. So until people start fearing the Most High, which, I don't see a lot of people do in this day and age, because you still got people out killing people and stealing and all these other things. They don't fear the Most High. So they're not going to depart from evil until they do. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. There is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps. A divine sentence is in the lips of the king. His mouth transgresseth not in judgment. A just weight and balance are the Lord's. All the weights of the bag are his work. It is an abomination to kings to commit wickedness. Well, we don't see that in our day and age, because our kings are so-called kings, rulers, leaders, presidents, etc. They do exactly this right here, wickedness, right? This is why wars still go on, right? And by the way, they're unjust wars, right? Like when you got another country that goes and invades another country for no apparent reason, and want to overthrow and topple a government to put up their own puppet government that's going to follow what they want to continue out their wickedness. But anyway, for the throne is established by righteousness. Righteous lips are the delight of kings, and they love him that speaketh right. The wrath of the king is messengers of death, but a wise man will pacify it. In the light of the king's countenance is life, and his favor is as a cloud of latter rain. And this, this don't tie in with it, but the Most High, talks about what the cankerworm eat. What the cankerworm had not eaten, the caterpillar comes. And he talks about how he's that prophecy about how he's going to give the latter rain, which means he's going to bring into remembrance the scripture that was forgotten, right? Or that's not talked about. That's the only reason why it's forgotten, because it's not talked about. He's going to bring back the latter rain. Let me bring that up so I could show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. In Joel 2, also in Hosea 6, right? So Joel 2, it says, be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in the Lord your God, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, the latter rain in the first month. And then it goes down here and it gives you a better understanding. Then shall we know, if we follow on to know the Lord, his going forth is prepared as the morning. He shall come unto us as the rain, as the latter rain, the former rain unto the earth, right? So again, that's what this is talking about. Where am I at? All right. All right, I read that part. How much better is it to get wisdom than gold? Right? It's always good. It's more worth getting wisdom than having gold, because you can have all the money in the world and not know anything. Right? And to get understanding rather to be chosen than silver. The highway right is apart from evil. And he mentions all the time, depart from evil. Don't do evil. And then they have to define what evil is. What would be evil in our Father's eyes? What does he consider as evil? Right? And then people will start to understand that. Right? Keep his way, preserveth his soul. Pride goeth before destruction. Like Satan, when he got prideful, I will ascend above the cloud, the height of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Pride entered into Satan's heart. And pride goeth before destruction, right? Satan's cast out, and now due to his pride, he's going to face that lake of fire, right? As we read in Revelation 20. He was prideful in the beginning, and as we see in the scripture, pride goeth before destruction, right? And a haughty spirit before a fall. Let's look at this word for haughty, right? Proverbs 16. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Let's look at this word for haughty, right? Let's see here. Where am I at? Let me get this. Where is this verse? 18, right? Verse 18. Haughty, right? Let's see what this means here. The word is gabah, right?
Strong's H 1363. Govach.
Or govah.
Govach.
Right. And it means height, exaltation, elation, grandeur, arrogance. So to have an arrogant heart, right? Arrogant, an arrogant spirit, haughty, arrogance. And we'll see that it's used here in Proverbs as arrogant, right? Oops, I don't want that. I want to show all. Oh, it doesn't say show all. Okay, let's see here. Probably also, so it's not used as much. Haughty. Where is the arrogant part? Arrogant. Yeah, it doesn't have the part where it says arrogant, but we understand that haughtiness, also in Jeremiah 48:29. We have heard the pride of Moab. He is excellent, exceeding proud, his loftiness and his arrogancy, right? So they don't really put the word arrogant here, but in the scripture, the word haughty is referred to arrogancy, right? Arrogance, right? So just to show you guys that people of an arrogant spirit, pride goeth before destruction, and an arrogant heart, and a haughty spirit or arrogant spirit before a fall. Better it is to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. He that handleth a matter wisely shall find good, and whoso trusteth in the Lord, happy is he. The wise in heart shall be called prudent. Let's get that word for prudent, because I read that a few times, but I ain't going to that word. What does this word mean? Prudent. And let me see here. Hebrew 995. Prudent. Bene, right?
Strong's H 995. Bean.
Or
Bean.
whatever. So to discern, to understand, to consider, to perceive, discern, right? To understand, know, with the mind, to observe, mark, give heed to, distinguish, consider, to have discernment, insight, understanding, to be discerning. So prudent is to discern, right? To have understanding. right? So this is why I go into the word. So go down here so you could show, so I could show you, and use 4 times in Proverbs, 12 times. This is in Proverbs 28. It's also used in Daniel, Proverbs 23. It's also used in Jeremiah 49:7. But let's get this. Proverbs 16. Where is it? Trying not to hit these words so it don't take up the screen. But to distinguish, to understand is in Proverbs 16, I believe. Look for it. Have discernment, right? Proverbs 14, and where we're reading from, to have discernment, Proverbs 16:21, right here where we're reading. The wise in heart shall be called prudent, but the sweetness of the lips increaseth learning. Understanding is a wellspring of life unto him that hath it, but the instruction of fools is folly. So we keep seeing that fools continue in silliness, which is what folly is, or foolishness, right? The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips. Pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul, and health to the bones. There is a way that seemeth right unto man, but the end thereof are the ways of death, right? He that laboreth for himself, for his mouth craveth it of him. An ungodly man diggeth up evil, and in his lips there is a burning fire. A froward man soweth strife, and a whisperer separateth chief friends. A violent man enticeth his neighbor, and leadeth him to a way that is not good. He shutteth his eyes to devise froward things, moving his lips, he bringeth evil to pass. The hoary head is a crown of glory, if it be found in the way of righteousness. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. The lot is cast into the lap, and the whole disposing thereof is of the Lord. So let's continue with the next chapter, because in a minute I'm going to have to make me something to eat. Getting kind of hungry. I eat breakfast today, so I'll try and go through this a little bit more quickly. Better is a dry morsel and quietness therein than a house full of sacrifices with strife. A wise servant shall have rule over a son that causeth shame, and shall have part of the inheritance among the brethren. The fining pot is for silver, the furnace for gold, but the Lord trieth the hearts. Right? And we understand when he says that he's going to purge us, that when he sends us through the fire, he's like a refiner, right? Trying gold and silver. When you refine gold and silver, I would have to show you guys a video of that, how they do that. And it's just an analogy to how the Most High is going to be trying the hearts, right? A wicked doer giveth heed to false lips, and a liar giveth ear to a naughty tongue. Whoso mocketh the poor reproaches his maker. We heard this also in a few chapters before in the same book. And he that is glad at calamities shall not be unpunished. Children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children are their fathers. Excellent speech becometh not a fool, much less do lying lips a prince. A gift is as precious as a precious stone in the eyes of him that hath it. Whithersoever it turneth, it prospereth. He that covereth a transgression seeketh love, but he that repeateth a matter separateth thy very friends. A reproof entereth more into a wise man than 100 stripes unto a fool. An evil man seeketh only rebellion. Therefore a cruel messenger shall be sent against him. Let a bear rob her wealth, meet a man rather than a fool in his folly. Whosoever rewardeth evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. The beginning of strife is as when one letteth out water. Therefore leave off contention before it be meddled with. Excuse me. And this is another thing that I see going on a lot, because a lot of things people do this. He that justify the wicked and he that condemneth the just, even they both are an abomination to the Lord, right? So that's like when people justify liars, right, or justify sin in that case. Wherefore is there a prince in the land of a fool to get wisdom, seeing he hath no heart to it? A friend loveth all at all times, and a brother is born adversity. A man void of understanding striketh his hands, and becometh surety in the presence of his friends. He loveth transgression that loveth strife. So people that love contention and strife and people going at each other, they love transgression according to what the word says. And he exalteth his gate, seeketh destruction. Like when Christ said, let's bring that up. Because this is all what he's getting. This is in Luke 14, also in Matthew 23, and Luke 18 as well. It says here, for whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that himself shall be exalted. And we get this again. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified. This is talking about if you know that story. This is talking about the Pharisee and the publican. And this also is what let me get this. Where is this? Luke 18. This is another thing that I see people doing. Let's go to Luke 18. How what's in the Old Testament is also mentioned in the New, but most people don't read the Old Testament. But this is a parable that Christ was speaking to his disciples, right? Let's go down here. This is about the publican and the publican and the Pharisee, right? And people think that the Pharisees were telling people to keep the laws of God, when scripture says when Christ went to go confront the Pharisees, one of the things that Christ said was they were tossing out, laying aside the commandments of God to keep their own traditions, right? That's what he was telling the Pharisees. But this is what a Pharisee was saying. Two men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a publican. In this case, I would say Perry is this guy. If you guys know Perry, you'll know what I'm talking about when I read this. This is what Perry does. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican, right? The publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. So this is the publican saying, admitting that he's a sinner, right? Because we all know what the scriptures say, for all of sin is fallen short of the glory of God, right? But he's confessing that he's a sinner. This is what Christ says. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalteth himself, like Perry does, shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. So in this story here, the Pharisee exalted himself, but the publican humbled himself. If you guys could understand that part. But that's why I use Perry as a good example, because he does it all the time. Everywhere he goes, he says, do you sin? I can't sin. That's like exalting himself, right? But again, that's on Perry. You know, many people rebuke Perry, but Perry doesn't take rebuke. He doesn't take reproof too well. And we see what happens when a man doesn't take reproof too well. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Correct, Bro Shem. See, Bro Shem knows, because we sit there and we listen to Perry's stale arguments and him constantly repeating himself over and over. All he does is ask you, do you sin? And then he goes on to tell you that you can't be saved, period. But he partakes, he sins daily and say it's not a sin for me because I just believe in Christ and he did it all for me. He wiped away all my Well, if he wiped away all your transgressions, then you wouldn't be transgressing anymore. You know, like I said, he even admitted, I beat my wife, but it's not a sin for me because I believe in Christ. Like, dude. But anyway, let's not get on that. Let's continue on. He that loveth transgression, loveth, wait, let me see. Oh, yeah. He that loveth transgression, loveth strife, but he that exalteth his gate seeketh destruction. So that's what Perry's seeking after, destruction. Every time he exalts himself. He that hath a froward heart findeth no good, but he that hath a perverse tongue falleth into mischief. He that begetteth a fool doeth it to his sorrow, and the father of a fool hath no joy. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, and a broken spirit drieth the bones. A wicked man taketh a gift out of the bosom to pervert the ways of judgment. Wisdom is before him that hath understanding, but the eyes of a fool are in the ends of the earth. And I find this is kind of off topic, but there's many scriptures about this, ends of the earth. We'll get into that when I get into that next study, talking about how God describes how he created the earth. And I know most people probably don't subscribe to a flat earth, but that's a teaching that, again, that if you guys go to my original creation video where I'm going through how they flip around the original creation and they give us this man-made lie that the sun came before the earth, when the Bible clearly states the earth was put here before the sun on the, the third day. On the fourth day, the sun, the moon, and the stars were created, right? That's what that says. But again, that's for my next study. Got a lot of studies on that. You guys go check that out if you want. But, wisdom is before him that hath understanding, but the eyes of the fools are in the ends of the earth. A foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to her that bear him. Also to punish the just is not good, nor to strike princes for equity. He that hath knowledge spareth his words, and a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit. So when you got understanding, you fully understand, right? have an excellent spirit, right? Even a fool, when he holdeth his peace, is wise. But and he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding. So, you know, this is what, let's go back here real quick. This is what people need to practice. A fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted wise. If you don't speak foolishly and you just hold your peace and don't say foolish words, you will be counted wise. But if you just go about spewing whatever you feel, and again, we hear that from Christ, it's not what goes in your mouth, but what comes out that defiles a man, right? Let's see. Yeah, we'll get to that, bro Shim, because I find it very, very interesting that that we got so many lies in this world, and the whole world's deceived, right? They actually believe we're, shooting through these phenomenal speeds, going around the sun and whipping and all this stuff, but it just doesn't make sense. But that'll be on my next. Hopefully, I'll do that Monday or Tuesday. But it's either we're going to believe how God created the earth, or we're going to believe the lies of man when they tell us what the earth is supposed to be. I'll pick what the Creator said about how He created the earth, not man, because they'll tell you dust, all that stuff, and dust so happen to form those rocks, right? Dust create earth. Doesn't make sense. It's idiotic, but people subscribe to that. But again, little understanding, because they don't take the Creator's words for what they are. But again, that's another discussion. Through desire, a man, having separated himself, seeketh an intermediate with all wisdom. A fool hath no delight in understanding, but that his heart may discover itself. When the wicked cometh, then cometh also contempt, and with ignominy, that's basically ignorancy, but ignominy, reproach. Words of a man's mouth are as deep waters, and the wellspring of wisdom as a flowing brook. It is not good to accept the person of the wicked, to overthrow the righteous in judgment. Fools and his mouth calling for struggles. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. He that is slothful in his work is brother to him that is a great waster. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. The rich man's wealth is his strong city, and as an high wall in his own before destruction, the heart of man is haughty. We understand that arrogance is what the word haughty means. And before honor is humility, meekness. He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him. This is what I had to keep posting last night. This one right here. Before people hear a matter, they'll rather cut you off and speak before you can even get your what you got to say out. It's folly. It's foolish. It's silliness, right? That's what it's called. And shame unto him. The spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit who can bear? The heart of the prudent getteth knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge. A man's gift maketh room for him, and bringeth him before great men. He that is first in his own cause seemeth just, but his neighbor cometh and searcheth him. The lot causeth contentions to cease, and parteth between the mighty. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Again, death and life are in the power of the tongue. What you speak will bring death or will bring life. And it's not talking about, oh, if I speak to something, it's going to be alive. No, that's talking about your own soul, right? What you speak out your mouth, also going back to what Christ said, it's not what goes in your mouth, but what comes out. If what comes out your mouth is evil, it brings death to your soul. But what you speak is right, righteous, is life to your soul. So that's what that means. Okay. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtaineth favor of the Lord. The poor useth in entreaties. I was about to entreaties, but the rich answereth roughly. A man that hath friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Right? Some people got a friend that is closer than their own family members. Is what that basically means. You know how some people say, this is my best friend, and they equate their best friend like a brother or a sister, right? Two more habits. I'm about to get my butt up and start posting these other lives. And this is why I read whole chapters, because if you read the whole chapter, it gives you a lot of insight, it gives you a lot of wisdom, it gives you time to think like, man, I need to really get myself together. And it also helps you purge out what he does not like, right? And also it teaches us how to, love each other, right? You're not going to go and do this here. Right? Better is the poor that walketh in his integrity than he that is perverse in his own he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. People don't want to. It's better to be this than to be the other half, right? Also, that the soul be knowledge is good. He that hates speaks. That's about those that are quick to into mischief, right? The foolishness of man perverteth his way, and his heart fretteth against the Lord. Wealth maketh many friends, but the poor is separated from his neighbor. Again, when it's talk about how the rich always, they got many friends, but the poor don't really have friends, right? False witness shall not be unpunished. This is why people do not bear false witness against anybody. If you don't know for sure, don't speak on the things that you don't know. Like when people throw people in the categories that they don't belong there, as if they know that person, right? Or they say, look, this person did this, or this person does that, or this person is like this, or yeah, he's not really that way, he's this way. If you're not 100% correct, don't even let it leave your mouth, period. Right? Because a false witness shall not be unpunished, but he that speaketh lies shall not escape. Many will entreat the favor of the prince, and every man is a friend to him that giveth gifts. All the brethren of the poor do hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He pursueth them with words. They are wanting to him. He that getteth wisdom loveth his own soul. He that keepeth understanding shall find good. A false witness, again, see this, how he says here, a false witness in verse 5 shall not be unpunished. He's repeating himself right here. A false witness, 4 verses away, a false witness shall not be unpunished. Same thing, over and over. So it's like beating it in your head so you can understand it over and over. Don't be a false witness. Don't bear false witness. Don't speak lies. Everything that come out our mouth should be about truth, right? And he that speaketh lies shall perish. Again, Revelation 22 tells us this. People so we have to be 100% careful about our mouth. Good to hear Paul time. Yeah, I focus on now. Paul got some writings, but people that Paul is just the end all be all, and they use Paul as a scapegoat. It won't end up good for them. So they might start reading other books like 1 John, 2 John. You know, everybody read John, where, you know, John 1 in the beginning, the word God and all like that. But when it comes to sin, I don't see anybody preaching what sin is and how do you stay out of it. Once people know what sin is, but then you say that, and somehow you're because what sin is. I don't get it. I mean, if they want to live a sinful life, go by all means. And let's get this real quick. Because everybody think that they can live just only on bread, and they don't have to listen to what the Father said, right? Christ said, I am the bread of life, right? So why does he say here? But he answered and said, it is written. This is when Satan took, when he was being tempted in the wilderness. We all understand this story. When Satan said, if thou be the Son of God, command this stone to be turned into bread. Let me bring that part up. Let's just go 1 to 5, right? 1 to 4, actually. So you guys could see exactly what I'm talking about. This is when he was being tempted, right? By Satan, right? And he was there 40 days, 40 nights. And afterward, he was hungry. And the tempter came to him. He said, if thou be the Son of God, and then people keep trying to say that, you know, Christ is God, when it clearly says in scripture over and over, he's the Son of God, right? And then they'll say, well, you're minimizing Christ and all like that, his authority. No, I'm not. Like Father, like Son. If the Father is God, right? That's just like, if I have a son, I'm African American. If I have a son, my son will be African American. Just to make that clear. right? But it is a difference between the two. The Father is greater than the Son, but yet they say he's equal with his Father, right? You get that in John 5 when he says he can't do of himself, he can do nothing of on his own, but that which he saw his Father do, that's what he does, right? But they totally bypass that. You won't hear them preaching anything out of John chapter 5. And even when it says, if you don't believe what Moses wrote, how can you hear his words, right? Because everybody got a lot of beef with Moses, by the way, which I don't understand. But anyway, and when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Right? So he's talking about every word that came from his Father's mouth. We're supposed to live by that as well. But everybody say, oh, we'll toss that out because we don't, just nonsense. Anyway, this is where I was getting to with this whole thing, dealing with this right here. A false witness shall not be punished, and he that speaketh lies shall perish. When it says in Revelation, verse 14, blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gate into the city. For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie, right? We're told over and over, right? Don't do that. And it's also in the Old Testament, which is where we're reading from in Proverbs. So for them to say that the Old Testament is separated from the New Testament is just a lie in itself, and they need to correct themselves. Because I go back and forth in this book, and you'll see many things in the Old Testament. Christ is referring to that stuff. But that's another thing. Delight is not seemly for a fool, much less for a servant to have rule over princes. The discretion of men, of a man deferreth his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression. The king's wrath is as the roaring of a lion, but his favor is as dew upon the grass. You ever wake up in the morning and you see them little droplets when it's like super cold in the morning, and you see the dew on the grass? That's what he's referring to. A foolish son is the calamity of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dropping. House and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from the Lord. Prudent means meek, gentle, right? That's what prudent means. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. Here we go. This is one that they have a problem with. They're going to have a problem with this one. And even when we get further down into the chapter, he who turneth his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be an abomination. So did the Most High just say, oh no, you could turn from my law, pray to me, I'll hear you? No. He that keepeth the commandment keepeth his own soul, but he that despiseth his ways shall die. He that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again. So again, this is talking about rewarding the righteous or the wicked. Chasten thy son while there is hope, and that's also bring up your child in a way, and he will continue into it, right? I think that's also in here in Proverbs. Chasten thy son while there is hope, and let not thy soul spare for his crime. A man of great wrath shall suffer punishment, for if thou deliver him, yet thou must do it again. Hear counsel and receive instruction, that thou mayest be wise in thy latter end. And this is talking about when you die, you might be wise before you die in your latter end. And let's get this. What does that mean? Because that is a meaning. And those two words there are put together. Latter end. So we in Proverbs 19, and we're gonna, after this chapter, and I get to chapter 20, we're gonna pick it up from 21 to 31, probably Tuesday or something. But this is why I read the whole book, right? And I tell people I read the whole book before, at least 4 or 5 times, but people might be thinking I'm lying. That's why I go into the words and stuff like that, because it took me about, I would say 7 years, going on 8. It's probably 8 now, but in those 8 years, 7 or 8 years, I've read this book in its entirety from beginning to end, all the way through, verse for verse, chapter for chapter, without leaving nothing out or none of that. So that's why I come on here and do this, so people could know what was being actually said. And I don't bring my own doctrine in it. I just read what the scriptures say, going to the words and all that stuff. So let's to verse 20. See what I said before. This word latter end is a phrase, and it's all in this one definition here, Hebrew 3:19, right? So in thy latter end, right? I still don't know how to pronounce this here.
Strong's H 319. Acharith. Acharith.
All right. After part end issue event. We see here, latter time, prophetic for future time, prosperity last hindermost. And when we go down here, it tells us how this is being used once again. And this is in Proverb 19. We want to look for where Proverb 19 is, because that's what it would be using it for. So the word latter end refers to, where is it? Proverb 19. Did I hit view all up here? And where is it? Did I hit view all? Yeah, I did. Where is Proverb 19 at? Because I want to use the one prediction event. Where is it? Some of this stuff they don't even put in here, like the scripture being used. See, they got Proverb 24 over here. Amos, Daniel. Okay. I just find that very funny that they didn't put that one in here, but oh well. Let me see. What was that? Proverbs 24, withheld from the wicked. Proverb 14, we did that earlier. All right, so I don't see it down here. So, all right, so that's one, but we understand that it is latter time, right? Just wanted to show where that was. So that thou mayest be wise in thy latter end, talk about a future thing. There are many devices in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. The desire of a man is his kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar. The fear of the Lord tendeth to life, and he that hath it shall abide satisfied. He shall not be visited with evil. Excuse me. I probably might need to get some water in a minute. A slothful man hideth his hand in his bosom, and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again. Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware. And reprove one that hath understanding, and he will understand knowledge. He that waiteth his father and chaseth his mother away is a son that causeth shame and bringeth reproach. And this word for reproach means, let's get that, because Israel, was told that they would be a reproach to many nations and stuff like that. So that would be, let's see, 19. What is reproach? Reproach. Hebrew 26:59, right? Reproach, right? Kafir, right? This one.
Strong's H 2659. Chafir. Chafir.
Right. To be ashamed, to be confounded, to be abashed, feel abashed, to be ashamed, to display shame, embarrassment, right? So that's used right here in Proverbs 19. And it's also used in Isaiah, Jeremiah, abashed or ashamed. Then you got all the other, same word being used here. Reproach, confusion, shame, ashamed, confounded. Kind of like Babel when he confounded their language, that no man would understand each other's speech. Right. But anyway, cease, my son, to hear the instruction that causeth to err from the words of knowledge. An ungodly witness scorneth judgment, and the mouth of the wicked devoureth iniquity. Judgments are prepared for scorners, and stripes for the back of fools. And we read this in another chapter. It was worded kind of differently, but I mean, not worded differently. It says the same thing, but it was saying something else about the stripes of for the back of fools. So let's go on to the last one, guys. Thank you for hanging in there, for all you guys that were hanging in there. Because, yeah, I said this was going to be about 2 hour and 30-minute live, but I'm kind of a little bit under that. So I probably might do like 10 minutes of 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A, but I'm going to blow through this real quick. And we could do 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A, and then I'm going to go and make me something to eat. And then we could see what's going on in the chat, although I'm looking back and forth in the chat. So just letting you guys know that I don't really see the chat when I'm reading because it covers up the chat. So I just kind of, focus on this. And then from time to time, I'll take a peek in the chat and see what's being said in there. All right. So better is the poor that walketh in his integrity, which we read. Oh, wait. I didn't hit enter. I was about to say, which we read in the previous chapter, but that was the same chapter I was reading from. Okay. Here we go. Wine is a mocker, and strong drink is raging, and whosoever thereby is not wise. The fear of a king, or guys, go back and look at that. Let me see real quick. Let me see if my connection. Let me see how my connection doing. All right, so I sound fine, but my screen is going in and out, and my reception is jumping up and down. So sometimes I gotta go back and forth and listen at my what's his name. So you'll hear me speaking in the background, like echo or whatever. The fear of a king is as the roaring of a lion. Whoso provoketh him to anger sinneth against his own soul. It is an honor for a man to cease from strife, but every fool will be meddling. Not by reason of the, therefore shall he beg in harvest nothing. Counsel in thy heart of counsel in the heart of man like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness, which again, we see this coming from Perry a lot, although he doesn't do the things that are good. Full man who the just man walketh in his integrity, his children are blessed after him. A king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scatteth away all evil with his eyes. Who can say, I have made my heart clean, I am pure from my sin? Perry, I hope Perry come and watch this, because this is about Perry right here. This is a verse clearly for Perry. Who can say I have made my heart clean, I'm pure from my sin? Because he say that all the time. I'm pure, unto the pure all things are pure, and he parrots that verse out of context and stuff. So yeah. Diverse weights and diverse measures, both of them are like abomination to the Lord. So when you don't weigh out, if you say someone's doing wrong, you call out that person wrong, and another person is doing wrong with that person, but you don't measure the same measurement you measure for the other person, that's an abomination to the Lord or the Most High, right? Even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure or whether it be right, The hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord hath made even both of them. Love not sleep, lest thou come to poverty. Open thine eyes, and thou shalt be satisfied with bread. It is not, saith the buyer, but when he is gone his way, then he boasteth. There is gold and a multitude of rubies, but the lips of knowledge are a precious jewel. So that's basically just saying, don't chase after these things of the world, all the riches of the world. You'll be more rich in knowledge than have riches of the world. Basically, it says that over and over. Take his garment that is surety for a stranger, and take a pledge for him for a strange woman. Bread of deceit is sweet to a man, excuse me, but afterwards his mouth shall be filled with gravel. Every purpose is established by counsel, and with good advice make war. He that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth secrets, therefore meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips. So people flatter with their lips, but they don't reveal things to people, right? They don't edify, right? Whoso curseth his mother or his father, his lamp shall be put out in obscure darkness, right? And this is kind of like what I was getting into when I was talking about with the Pharisee. Let's go into the New Testament, right? Real quick. Matthew 15, I believe. This is what the Pharisees was doing right here. This is what Christ was getting at the Pharisees about. Whoso curseth his mother or his father, his lamp shall be put out in obscure darkness. Let's see what this says here. This is why I go in the New Testament and the Old Testament, because you'll see the same thing being used, right, by Christ. Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees with Jerusalem. Again, the Pharisees were not keeping the laws of the Most High. They were keeping some, but they were putting their own traditions in there. Like wash your hands before you eat. And Christ had to tell them, it's not what goes in your mouth and all like that. It's what comes out. He makes it clear that eating with unwashed hands, not unclean animals, unwashed hands, unclean hands don't defile you. Right? People take that all the way out of context and insert food where food don't belong. Thy disciples transgress the traditions of the elders, the tradition of the elders. Why are they transgressing the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread, which wasn't no law that the Most High gave to anybody. He didn't say, before you eat, you must wash your hands and all like that. No, it's not what God told them, right? But he answered and said to them, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition? For God commanded, this is where he's pulling this from. Whoso curseth mother or his father, right? This is what he's talking about right here. Curse of mother and father, let him die. But ye say to father or his mother, here's a gift by whatever that might be profited by me, and honor not his mother and father, he shall be free. Thus have ye made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition. That's what he was getting at the Pharisees about. Taught laying aside, and wait, let's get that in Mark 7, because it says that they were laying aside the commandments of God to keep to their own traditions. This is the same story, right? Same story, same thing being said here. It doesn't even change, but people change it. And then also it says here, eating with unwashing hands. Then came together unto him the Pharisees and certain of the scribes, and which came from Jerusalem. And when they saw some of his disciples eat bread with defiled, that is to say, with unwashed hands, again, they found fault. For the Pharisees and all the Jews, except they wash their hands off, eat not, holding the tradition of the elders. That's what he was coming to correct. That's what he was talking about right there. Eating with unwashed hands, but people keeping certain food here. And when they came from the market, except they wash, they eat not. And many other things there be, which they have received to hold, as the washing of cups and pots, brazen vessels, and of tables. Then the Pharisees and scribes asked him, why walk not thy disciples according to the tradition of the elders, but eat bread with unwashed hands? That's the whole problem here. And he answered and said unto them, well hath Isaiah, this is Isaiah, right? Isaiah, prophesied of you hypocrites. It is as it is written, this people honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. And then the very next verse says that they're laying aside the commandments of God, tradition of men. For laying aside the commandment of God, ye hold the tradition of men, as the washing of pots and cups and other such things like things ye do. And he said unto him, full well ye reject the commandment of God, that ye may keep your own tradition. And then he goes in here and he talks about what Moses said again, honor your father and mother, right? And then he goes into that long spiel again, but I don't need to go there. These are the two that they try and use when it's the same story, and they insert food in both places where food ain't even mentioned. Talk about eating with your hands being dirty. So just to clear that up. All right. So that what Christ was talking to the Pharisees about comes from the Old Testament, period. Ain't no getting around that one. An inheritance may be gotten hastily at the beginning, but the end thereof shall not be blessed. Say not thou, I will recompense evil, but wait on the Lord, and he shall save thee. This part also is mentioned in the New Testament, right? When he says, avenge not yourselves, right? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I will repay, right? This is also in the New Testament, right? Diverse weights are an abomination unto the Lord, and a false balance is not good. So when you don't weigh out the same judgment that you give others is an abomination, and false balances or false witness is not good, right? We understand that comes out of the 10 commandments, right? Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? You can't. The Most High knows your ways, but we don't even know our ways, right? It is a snare to the man who devoureth that which is holy, and after vows to make inquiry. A wise king scattereth the wicked, and bringeth the will over them. The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, searching all the inward parts of the belly. Mercy and truth preserve him, and his throne uphold by mercy. The glory of young men is their strength, and the beauty of old men is the gray head. The blueness of a wound cleanseth away evil, so do stripes the inward parts of the belly. So we're gonna pick up most of this stuff Tuesday. I'm gonna stop right here, and I want to I want to get into the chat real quick. If y'all got any questions or anything y'all want to ask me or anything, it could be about whatever. I don't care, right? It could be about whatever. But I'm gonna take this little time out to do a little Q&A, going on in the chat and everything. And I remember you were telling Berean and that, of course, but people don't listen. I mean, I don't knock anybody for what they believe, but we should be believing according to what the books say. Everybody has their understanding. So I believe, like what Christ said, we should all be of one mind, all on the same accord when it comes to this book. But there's a lot of divisions, a lot of strife, a lot of denominations within Christianity, and even within our own circles, according to us who identify as Israel. And I don't have any problems with anybody. Again, it's just that I feel that we should be reading the book, and like I say all the time, let the book be the book. Because if we're not letting the book be the book, then we just bringing our own understanding into it, and that's where we become flawed. And as you guys see, I don't come with my own doctrine. I come with what the book says, because that's how we should be doing it. When people start inserting things, then that's when we start throwing people off. And I won't say it's dangerous, but it can do a lot of damage. Right. Do I open up the panel? Sometimes I do. But I don't get a lot of people that want to come on as guests or anything to speak. So I kind of just just read the teaching, read and teach, and go through the studies. Let me see here. Here's a question. Let me read this real quick. Melvin, do you think Melvin, do you think the so-called U.S. is the land that God promised his people? No. This is not the land that he promised us. According to what the Bible says, I'm gonna get into this because let's see here. We're gonna go into Genesis 15 real quick. this is where we find the land that God promises people. And I'm going to bring up this map here. Again, dealing with this. Because I just go and try and see real quick. So let me put my phone right here. So I'm gonna answer this question. All right, so let me bring this stuff up really, really quick. I probably might take 2 or 3 more questions or anything like that. And I gotta go eat, guys. I'm sorry. But I am very, very hungry, and I did not eat breakfast, and it's almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Wow. Anyway, I'm not really that hungry. You know, there's days that I do go without eating, but it don't really bother me none. But I feel like I gotta start eating more. So let me bring this up. So this is what I told Abraham. Hopefully let me check my what's his name real quick. Yeah, one of these days I'll be trying to get some people on one of these days. But I did have a few guests on, like David, right? So I do open up the panel and stuff like that, but I don't really get too many people requesting to jump on. So I just do teachings and stuff like that. When I was doing my question and answer thing, I was trying to open up the panel and let people on, but nobody really came on to ask questions or answers and stuff like that. But I do believe that we should be holding councils and stuff like that and getting into scripture, because I like to stay in the scripture. But anytime you guys want to come on, just ask. I probably might make a live to where it's just an open panel discussion, and then we go into the book and stuff like that, and do all this together, read along. You guys got to excuse my connection. I don't know why it's messing up now, but all right. So with this question, let me put this question back here. So the question is, do you think the so-called U.S. is the land that God promised his people? According to scripture and according to this map here, this is a promise dealing with him. But if you read this, you'll know. But this is what he says. So we understand that God told Abraham these animals and, do this. He took them all these and he divided them in the midst, and each piece one another. But the birds did he not. And when the fowls came down upon the car, Abram drew them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, and horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years, and also that nation. And then this is where they try and say that, oh, you guys, when they talk about, when people say, oh, the 400-year prophecy is a false prophecy. Well, you're saying that what God promised Abraham is false. So people need to be careful with that, because they try and say that, well, after the 400 years is up, you guys are supposed to leave. Well, that's not what the prophecy says. This is what the prophecy say. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. So first comes the judgment. And then after the judgment, they shall come out with great substance. And then it says, thou shalt go to thy father in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age, but in the fourth generation shall they come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. And then he says this, in the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt onto the great river, the river Euphrates. So you'll see people saying, oh, you guys are fighting over this little strip of land. No, it's not a little strip of land, because I'm going to go to this map, what he promised Abraham. So it says it's going to be the land of the Canaanites, the Kenizzites, and the Kadamites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Raphims, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. Now, we go to this map. This is the Table of Nations map. So from the river Euphrates, or the river of Egypt, we know that Mizraim is Egypt, and you see this river that goes down through Cush and all that stuff. It goes down here and it goes down here. This is that river. From this river, so from here, all this part to the, let me blow it. I can't blow it up anymore. This is the Euphrates River right here. That goes down and it goes on out here to the Persian Gulf. So from here, all this right here where land Shem is, this is the land that God promised. So they'll say, oh, well, you guys are fighting over this little strip here. No, because you can't fit all in this little piece. So it makes sense that it's from here all the way to the river Euphrates, as it says in the prophecy, right? From the river of Egypt, right? From the river of Egypt onto the great river, the river Euphrates. That's where all this is. He promised them all this land right here. So you'll see people making false claims saying, you guys are talking about that little piece of land. No, we're not. We're talking about the land according to the prophecy. You know, and also it's mentioned again in Acts 7 as if it never happened, right? And remember, part of that prophecy deals with a land that they know not, right? And then they try and say that it was fulfilled in Egypt. It wasn't fulfilled in Egypt, right? Because they knew the land of Egypt, right? They knew that land. So when it says that they, again, let me bring this up. The prophecy is they would spend 400 years, right? Thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs. In Acts 7, let's get that. In Acts 7, it says, in a land that they know not. So if they knew Egypt, how was it fulfilled in Egypt? It's the question I ask people, and no one can never answer that question for me. See, and God spake on this wise, that his seed shall sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them, not they're going to sell themselves into bondage like, you know, they keep saying, oh, you guys sold yourselves into bondage. Well, that is against the law, because Israelites wasn't supposed to sell Israelites into bondage, which is what, you know, they did to Joseph when they sold him into Egypt. But what happened after that? God gave Joseph favor, and Joseph was, I forget, he was a governor, or basically he was a ruler in Egypt. So that wasn't a part of no kind of affliction. If he ruled there, how's that bondage and affliction? It doesn't make sense. should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years. And that nation whom they shall be in bondage will I judge, said God. And after the judgment here, they shall come forth and serve me in this place. So in order for this prophecy to work, they should be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. If they were given the land of Egypt from the river of Egypt to Euphrates, that means that was their land. But this says they shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs and shall serve them. And then they go into Acts 7 and they try and equate this when they go down here, right? They moved to envy and sold Joseph to Egypt and delivered him out of all his afflictions and gave him favor and wisdom in the sight of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he made him governor over Egypt. So it doesn't say that they were afflicted in Egypt, because Joseph, who is one of the children of Israel, and then when you get into that whole thing, Jacob, heard that there was corn in Egypt. This was during the famine, and sent out our fathers first. And at the second time, Joseph was made known to his brethren and all his kindred and known to Pharaoh. And when you go into the Old Testament, it talks about, let's go there, right? It's in Exodus 9, I believe, or somewhere around that, right? No, this is the whole thing about let my people go. What is it? I think it's Exodus 5. I kind of forget where it is, but I'm trying to find it. All right, let's just do this. Because this is them giving an account of the whole story. Let's see, where is this at? Oh, it's in Genesis 37. All right. And Exodus was when he raised up Moses. So, and notice that even when Moses was down there, they were ruling in Egypt, right? So it still doesn't fit. If they knew Egypt, how does that apply to a land that they don't know? I don't get it. So Jacob dwelt in the land, and his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan. And these are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, having 17 years old, feeding the flock. This is when his brothers sold him, and talks about it. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told his brethren, they hated him yet more, right? And then it talks about them selling him. And then Pharaoh makes him a governor. So if they knew Egypt, if they traveled back and forth into Egypt, Joseph, Jacob, and Jacob 12 sons, here's Reuben. And then this is when they're talking about they cast him into the pit, left him there. And then it came to pass when Joseph was come to his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was with him. And then this is when they went and lied and said that Joseph was devoured by beasts. They told Jacob that. So Jacob sitting there thinking that Joseph was dead when they was reigning in Egypt. And they didn't even know who Joseph was. Why? Because he looked like the Egyptians, right? The Ishmaelites bought him for 20 pieces of silver, right? Ishmaelites bought him for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. Reuben returned into the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. It's when they went to go tell Jacob that he was devoured by evil beasts, right? And they knew it, and he knew it, and said, "It is my son's coat. An evil beast has devoured him." Joseph, it was without doubt rent in pieces. So that's when Jacob thought that Joseph was devoured by an evil beast. And it's when he went and threw sackcloth and all that stuff. And then you go here, next chapter. This is why it's important that people read after this chapter. It talks about, it's like, reading a story or history, right? And it came to pass that the time Judah went down for his brethren and turned to certain. It talks about this whole story. So they go down there and they find Joseph, and Joseph starts playing with them, like basically acting like he didn't know them, like he was an Egyptian or whatever. And they didn't even tell the difference, right, between Joseph, and they didn't know his brother. Basically, they didn't know him, right? But again, it's a long story. I encourage you guys to go read Genesis 36 all the way up till 40, and you'll get that whole story there, right? Okay, cool. So you're conversed in type. I've been keen to jump on and build with you for sure. We do have a difference in opinion. Yeah, everybody has a difference in opinion, but I tend to try and stick to what the scriptures say. And of course, it is an iron sharpened iron, So, just as long as we stay in the book and all that, because like I said before, I read the whole Bible, both Old and New Testament. So, don't be ashamed if I correct on a few things according to what we have written, But with that said, I'm gonna jump off here. I'm about to go make me something to eat because I am hungry. I didn't miss breakfast and everything, so got to skip that and go to lunch. So shalom. I'm about to start getting these other things set up so that we can, we can all learn from the stuff. No way, bro. I need to be refuted. Well, at least at least you're honest with yourself, At least you're honest with yourself. That's why I say we need to keep the book, and we need to read what the books say and keep those things, and we'll do better. Because if we just come out with our own understanding, this is why I say that. Before I go, this is why I encourage people to, do diligent studying, right? Read a lot more into what you don't read into. And also pray. Ask the Most High for the understanding, right? Ask Him for the understanding, because that's the job of the Holy Spirit, to bring us into all truth. So I want to leave off with this, right? And that's exactly the scripture I'm bringing up here. Leave off with this. In Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which is covered in my other Proverbs, Proverbs 1 through I think I did 1 through 11. No, 1 through 10. Did 1 through 10. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. So he's going to give you understanding. He's going to give you the increase. I'm just the person planting the seeds, but the Most High is going to do the watering, right? That's all I'm here for. Plant the seeds. The parable of the good sower, or the sower, right? And I sow that you may grow into wheat and not a tear, because we know where the tares go. I like the First Thessalonians 5 study to show ourselves approved, even though I'm only OT, LOL. Yeah, we should study to show ourselves approved, and but it's always good to see where each other are coming from, so that we can see where we're flawed. Just like me, if I'm incorrect about something, I would listen, take correction, and say, hey, look, this is where I'm flawed. So let me go back and reread this stuff and see where I'm at, where I'm messing up at. Because like I say, and like many say, no one's above correction. If we see somewhere where we're wrong, we shouldn't have pride in our hearts and say, oh, well, I'm not going to take that. I'm just going, no, I'm going to stay where I'm at. We should be expanding and also helping each other out. That's where I'm at, so, watch exactly, or else we teaching folly, right? Exactly. So with that said, I'm sorry, I gotta go eat. I gotta go eat because yeah. So with that said, shalom. If you guys want me to bring that up real quick, let's bring up 2 Timothy, right? Let's bring up 2 Timothy. Is there any specific chapter? I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with that. All right, let's bring up 2 Timothy. I know exactly where you're going with that. Hold on, let me find it. Let me find it. I believe it is. And let me see. Let me see what you're saying. Let me just see. Let me see here. Let's bring up this last point. Let's do this. Let's read a little bit of 2 Timothy chapter 3, because this is a dire warning for us dealing with the last days, right? So let's read this. This is a dire warning. I tend to heed to the warnings that we were given. So let's blow through a few of these verses. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, which we're living in these perilous times right now. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, proud, boasters, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. The truth. This is a favorite one I see. Now, as Jannies and Jamborees withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith. But they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be made manifest unto all men, as also theirs were. And it goes on, and it talks about all this, right? Talks about all this. So I encourage people to go read that. But that's a dire warning. Exactly. But that's a dire warning for the last days. We need to be very, very careful with that. So with that said, shalom, everybody. I gotta go eat. Sorry. Have a blessed day. Shalom.